Oh, yeah. Sort of a fun, exciting time with my wife today on a little holiday shopping, plus stopping by a client's office and saying hello. But before we get into that, I just want to thank people around the world, 25 countries total.
I feel like you're flexing.
Well, it is not a humble brag. This is a flat-out brag. Once again, we are in the United States, Canada, Singapore, Germany, United Kingdom,
really gonna read the
Saudi
list?
Arabia, Seychelles, Mexico, Japan, India, Israel, Netherlands, Switzerland, Denmark, Ireland, Sweden, Russian Federation, France, Spain, Colombia, Hungary.
Colombia? Is that new?
Yeah, that's a new one. Cayman Islands, South Korea, Virgin Islands, the British ones, not the U.S.,
Ooh.
and Hong Kong. I mean, talk about
Is
epic.
Hong Kong new too?
No, Hong Kong was there. We don't have any China because they got a VPN with China, so we wouldn't know if a new one came from China. We are also in 263 metropolitan areas around the world.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes. So if anybody passes along the idea of listening to Plate and Ponder Empty Nesting with Jen and Chris Fenton, please do. Tell them to follow, review, listen, engage, give us all the accolades, download. I appreciate it. Anyway.
Am I still hearing music? I feel like there's still a little music on.
There's a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's there. You
It's
didn't turn it
mood
all the way
music.
down.
Okay.
But anyway, so Jen,
It's
what
almost
is
the
our show?
holidays.
What is our
Plate
show?
and Ponder, dinner, dialogue, and debate. Welcome to Plate and Ponder. We're a longtime married couple, now proud empty nesters. We are looking for a highly constructive way to occupy our time, and that's what this podcast has been. We are going to discuss, we're going to banter. I'm going to tell you about what happened to me today. I am sitting here with a lot of ice.
Yeah, today
boy.
was really interesting because we had a really good day as a couple because we both started the day with work, workout, various Zooms and whatever, and then we promised each other that we were going to go Christmas shopping together. Now, I'm going to give a humble brag, as most husbands would take this also, because hopefully they're humble bragging about it too. I have planned ahead. I have gotten a handful of good presents for my wife already. But today was the day where we go, we drop off some stuff at clients, and then we go have dinner or a late lunch and
couple glasses of wine,
and then we go shop.
Yeah, no, it's super fun, and I love doing that with you because you're part of the process. I know I'm a little harder to shop for than you.
That's a shout out for the husband. I don't get that a lot, so I'm just going to listen to this applause all the way through. Thank you.
What was that Instagram that we saw? A husband saying that the 13 seconds a day his wife is not mad at him is the best part of his day.
Let me tell you, I've gone through more days without those 13 seconds.
Oh, stop it. No,
But
don't say that.
I have
Don't say
had
that.
a lot of days where all 24 hours and 60 minutes in
now
each
you're
of those
lying.
24 hours
Now
has
you're
been
lying.
absolutely ambrosial, as if it's the food of the gods.
Okay,
that is
well, let me
made.
tell you, speaking of
Okay.
food, so we went to a restaurant we've been to before. It's super fun. I ordered one glass of wine, and I'm prefacing it because I was not drunk. I was not tipsy when my accident occurred. Chris had a couple glasses. We had finished lunch. We were going to go use the restroom before we continued on throughout the day to go shopping. And we were walking down the hallway to the restroom, and I totally bit it. I don't know. Oh my gosh. I don't know if it was my shoes or the floor was a little slippery, and it was definitely at a little bit of a slant. And I will tell you, I lost my footing. I hit my face against a wall. After I ping-ponged against the wall, I fell flat on my ass, right on my hip. And you should see me now. I am so black and blue. I've got one of those ice rollers. Any women out there listening, thank goodness
feel like I
had
should take
one.
a photo of what you're doing right now and make that the podcast
Oh my gosh.
cover art.
It's so bad. And
What
I'm
is that
sitting,
thing that you're using there?
It's a roller roller. It's supposed to be to bring down the swelling in your face, and I'm just using it on the bump and the bruise that is now taking over the left side of my jaw. I am sitting on ice because my hip is so black and blue.
Well, all I can say
This is
is
a disaster. I can hardly walk up the stairs in our house right now.
she speaks the truth. She definitely speaks the truth, because I had seen this happen from I was probably 20 feet behind her when she went down, and I was, wait, did she just fall walking into the bathroom? And by the way, she said 2 glasses of wine.
I
think
only
we
had
had
one. No,
I think
I
we
had
had a
one.
glass of wine and then maybe shared one. So like the alcohol was not a factor. It was flat out the wrong heels on the wrong surface with the wrong, I don't know, moisture content that you couldn't see. Because when she fell, I was like, oh my God, is there a grease spot here? I'm going to have to tell the manager that like they better clean this thing up ASAP. But I couldn't find anything. I was like trying to kick my shoes around and find a slippery spot. And it was just making that squeak that you hear when the basketball court is fine to play basketball on, because there's nothing slippery on it. So I saw this happen, and she was falling in such a weird way. I wanted to run up there and get her, but I was actually, A, I was too far away, but B, I think even if I got there and tried to stop it, she would have gotten whiplash. Like, it was probably better I was too far away, and she just slowly, the momentum came to an end, and she ended up,
I look like a ping pong or like a pinball machine. That's what I look like.
Yeah. It was not one of your better moments.
I was so nauseous, and I couldn't catch my breath because I think I had the wind knocked out of me when I fell, or maybe when I hit my face. I don't know.
Well,
I'm laughing about it, but I'm going to be so sore tomorrow.
I don't even understand what that thing is. Like, where did you get that?
It's a roller. You can buy them at Sephora. You can buy them at Amazon.
But you've had it sitting in the freezer for an occasion just like this? No. Like, what is that thing?
So before you go out, before you do your makeup, before a special event, you take this roller and you kind of roll it in such a way so it's almost like a lymphatic drainage, but it's also really cold, right? Because it's ice and it's frozen, and you just roll it and it brings down swelling and puffiness. So this is actually the perfect tool to rub against my jawline. You can hear, I don't know if you can hear it.
That is, it looks like you're making a cookie or something. I don't. Face. It is anyway. I hopefully the women listening to this know exactly what she's doing.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
I think there's not a guy on earth that.
No, I think they've probably seen their wives do it before.
Do you think?
I do.
Okay, maybe this is. You've been hiding this from me.
We're gonna move on because I'm mortified.
But you do look gorgeous, and I don't see the black and blue.
You felt the bump. Okay.
And let me tell you, it was really nice. We ended up getting you a Christmas gift afterwards. You sort of hobbled to the store. It took a while, and I step outside because these stores in Beverly Hills, I think, have extra security now. So you have literally no cell service in them. And, it was, I was able to do some emails, a couple calls while you were doing your thing.
As you were waiting for me, and then as we were walking back to our car, do you know how many Waymos we saw?
Oh.
What is the deal?
Yeah, I would say there's probably a fair amount of people that listen to this that are not aware of, well, they're aware maybe of Waymos, but they have not seen one in person. And they used to be pretty shocking about a year ago. You would see these Jaguar, like they're sort of like a mini SUV model. I don't know what they are. It's not like I guess it's the Jaguar SUV. Is there only one? Or
like a Lexus SUV or something like that.
No, it's
like
a Jaguar.
Is it?
It's a Jaguar. It's a Jaguar, and they have these weird contraptions on the top that spin around, and then all these other things that spin around them. And there's
no driver.
No driver. There's just a random people sitting in the back seat,
sometimes.
Or if there's 3 or 4 people in it, you'll see somebody sitting in the passenger seat of the front, but there's nobody driving the car. Now, most people in San Francisco and in parts of LA will be like, well, what's the big deal? We've been seeing these for a while. But no, it has been a slow encroachment around LA. It started, I think, in Beverly Hills and Culver City, and then it's slowly spreading. southward. Like, we don't have any in Manhattan Beach yet.
No, but it does say that a lot of them are doing commercial service testing in Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Austin.
Right. But Los Angeles spread, like, because Los Angeles could mean LA County. It definitely doesn't mean just the city of LA, because we're seeing them in Beverly Hills, which is a different city, and we're seeing them in Culver City.
Culver City,
And I've seen them come down Culver Boulevard to as far as, like, say, now I'm getting inside baseball about LA, but we have a lot of LA listeners. So I think it gets down to about past Sawtell and probably towards Inglewood. But the bottom line is there is a lot of expansion going on with the driverless cars.
But my understanding, Waymo, and I don't know a whole lot about this industry, but Waymo is really the only one, and it's the Google, right? It's a Google product.
It is. It's a Google product, and by the way, this is one of our serious conversation topics that we're going to talk about today.
Is this like a monopoly, much like the search engine conversation we had?
Oh well, the monopoly conversation was something that we wanted to talk about. But let's stick to Waymo.
So it's Google, but here, in terms of safety performance, I do remember that there was some sort of recall that happened, which is kind of scary. I don't know. I'm always tripped out when I see a driverless car next to me, although you seem to think that it is a safer option than perhaps one of our children driving.
Okay, well, number one is if you're a woman or a kid or something, I think you could argue that you might be safer in a car generally that has no driver than the one that is an unknown driver, right? Number one.
Okay,
like, you just don't know,
right? Like, you're
what
coming
that person
home,
is capable
You're coming
of.
home from a
Right.
bar and you're by yourself, and we've heard some of those horrible or Uber stories.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I should add a man too. I mean,
Sure.
Person could be big or have a weapon or
right.
whatever it is. The other thing that I'll say is that we value humanity, and we believe in Americans and people around the world. But I'll also say that we have seen our good share of stupidity over the years from other humans, and I'm sure I've been one of them at times. Trusting who's on the other side of those dotted white lines, you could argue, hey, I would rather a really well-trained AI robot that's driving that car rather than somebody who's having a really bad day.
Sure. But here's my question. What if robots take over the world and there's some sort of person or program that has programmed these robots, these robotic cars, and they all go haywire, and now they're driving in the wrong direction. They're not stopping at stoplights. Like, what about this whole, like, Terminator thought process?
Yeah, well, I think it's a very valid point, because we talked about drones last episode, and the fact that a lot of them are manufactured in China and obviously have various components in them that could have kill switches or whatever it is. We've actually seen it in real life with cell phones, and the fact that the Mossad had planted cell phones with explosives, and they literally took out Hezbollah because of that, right? So who's to say that these Waymos wouldn't have something like that, or have some sort of kill switch or some sort of device that allows it to be controlled remotely? But on the same end of that argument, there are a lot of cars now, modern cars with computer systems that can be overridden also remotely. And we're sort of in that world where, if somebody really wants to do something damaging, they can.
Okay, here's another question for you, because I'm going total doomsday. Once again, I'm the poop emoji, and you
got the roller. Just make sure you're talking into the mic so people can hear you.
So once again, I'm the poop emoji, and you're going to be the unicorn. So now you have all these Waymos, right? Do you think that that's going to totally kill the automobile industry? Less people are going to drive, which means there's going to be less people purchasing vehicles, which then ultimately means there's going to be less people who need car insurance. So I'm going to kind of encapsulate the whole automobile industry and saying, is Waymo going to take this down?
Donga, where's my automobile? What was that? 16 candles?
16 candles.
Automobile.
Yeah, 16 candles.
That was such a good movie. So first of all, I'm not an automotive industry expert.
No, but do you see my point?
But we did represent VW, Volkswagen and Audi on the ground in China as a full service advertising agency. So I know a little bit.
Okay.
But I'll say this. Less people won't be driving in terms of transportation. They'll need to get from point A to point B, and they'll be using cars to get there. Whether they're actually driving the car or a passenger in the car, that might not matter in terms of the amount of cars that need to be purchased.
So you think Waymo will move on from the current model, and maybe it's going to be a Volkswagen, maybe it's going to be a Mercedes, maybe it's going to be BMW. It's not just going to be the Jaguar that you suggested.
My if I were speculating, I think Waymo is going to be the taxi version for people that for some reason don't have their own driverless car available, right? Like so. You fly.
But why would you drive?
But here's the thing.
That's my point.
Okay.
If you
You're
could
not
have
gonna
somebody drive you, you just sit in the back seat of a car.
Nobody's driving you. Your car is driving you. Your car is going to take you from point A to point B. Your car is going to have a driverless component to it. So you'll get into your garage as you would to commute to your job, and then you would actually take your car as you would as a driver, except the car drives you to the exact same place. So you'll have a car, and if you don't have a car, then you'll call like a Waymo Uber to get you to the workplace. But wouldn't it be easier just to have a driver? Like if you can afford a car, why not have a driverless car so it's just there?
Because then I think you're still going to need insurance, and that's actually an interesting point. The insurance. Let's say you're in a Waymo car. Because there's no person driving it, so there's really no individual policy. Do you think that there might be a fleet policy?
Well, there's always fleet policies in general. I'm sure I don't know the exact dynamics, but I'm sure there's some sort of Uber policy over Uber drivers, and then individual Uber drivers have their own policies, whatever it is.
I actually can't remember. I've got a question for you. Do you remember when we signed up for Uber ages ago? Do you think we released liability? Do you think we said we would go to arbitration if there was some sort of do you know if we sort of relinquished any of our rights?
I mean,
I'm guessing
I never read it.
Did.
I think it did test me to make sure I got to the bottom before I could sign something so that it looked like I read it, but I don't remember reading that
I'm
or
sure we totally
anything else. We signed away a lot of rights. I'm sure some of those rights probably wouldn't hold up in court that we signed away, and then there's probably ones that would. So
I don't know. Okay, well,
the bottom line is I also think there's been instances and precedents in terms of people getting harassed or attacked in a Uber, and there's been liabilities that Uber's had to deal with. Anyway, in my head there's been way more positives than negatives in terms of Uber. I think in my head, there would be nothing better than having a driverless car, so you never had to worry about, oh, shoot, I got to get to the office and I forgot to prepare for that presentation. Like you could sit in the back and prepare for the presentation. Or you go to a bar and you're like, hey, I don't really care how much I have to drink because my driverless car will get me home.
Okay, I didn't even think about that.
Yes, that's why I'm your husband, to bring a different perspective.
That's going to open up so much liability. Like, are you going to have to breathe into something? Ooh. I mean, I know you're not driving the car.
Wait, no. There's no... Why would you have to breathe into something? You wouldn't have to breathe into it if you were sober.
Right, but if you're sober, you're not going to... I don't know.
Wait, what would you do if you were drunk to a driverless car?
I don't know. What if I decided to jump the back
weave
seat?
in and out of the lane for me because I'm drunk? No, you're not going to tell the... And the driverless car won't allow you to do that. So...
Isn't there some sort of override?
For the drunk in the back?
I don't know.
I think it's I think it's going to be way, way, way more beneficial than not. And the idea of us not like, I mean, there are people like, I have great faith in humanity, but there's definitely some people that we've come across where you're just like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with them? And those very people, maybe it's 1 out of every 99 cars that pass you going the opposite way on a fast road.
Still a risk.
It's a risk. So I would rather have some really well programmed AI driven machine that has essentially a almost 0% chance of making a mistake unless Beijing takes it over and crashes it into me because I wrote Feeding the Dragon. Like that would be
the
bad.
The trillion dollar story. But okay, I have another question.
No, it's a $1 trillion dilemma facing Hollywood, the NBA, and American business.
Wow, that's a mouthful of words.
Yes, it is, but a great
Okay, I have
mouthful,
another question for you.
Munchy mouthful.
And I got another question for you.
Yes, while you roll your
I'm
head.
still rolling my jaw. Does this mean that you think Uber and Lyft and some of those car service models will actually do away with drivers? Can you see them changing their business model now? Because then you don't have to pay people.
Okay, well, I don't even have to be a prognosticator or whatever, a predictor.
The answer is yes, right?
The answer is 1,000% yes.
Just because
this whole
economically
thing,
it just makes more sense for them
Okay.
because it's less overhead.
I'll put. I mean, this is not a tinfoil hat, but I'm gonna go.
What, 5 years?
No, but there's two things that I will look at. Right, Andrew Yang talked about universal basic income for the average American,
And that's
the
been
reason,
something he's been touting
Okay.
since he ran for president.
It sounded ridiculous, but if you actually are in charge of the system and you're empowered by the system and you want the system to continue the way it is, even though people are going to start to have a lot of rancor and discourse and various things that they are really unhappy about because they're losing their jobs, there'll be a lot of unemployment, right? So Andrew Yang has this idea of universal basic income, which gives everybody this ability to not be desperate, to have hopefully everything they need and maybe some of what they want. So maybe that tempers anger from not having things and losing jobs and having AI take over and manufacturing moving offshore and all this crazy stuff, right? The one that happened today, which is interesting, is that imagine if you gave everybody universal basic income and also just had them high all the time on pot, right? I would argue if you want to save your ass in a system that's not working all that well, but you just don't want people really noticing it's not working all that well or having them get a little upset about things, give them universal basic income and make pot legal. And by the way, we have no problem with pot. Like the whole drug war thing is pretty crazy and the solutions to it, we just haven't figured out. And I have all kinds of opinions, but I'll say like, if you just make pot legal, make Prozac like a non-prescription medicine.
Like Tylenol?
Yeah.
Like you just go when you go Target.
So then you just got everybody chilling.
Isn't that kind of the Chinese model of keep people just happy enough?
Keep them just happy enough that they don't revolt. They don't want another June 4, 1989.
Right. So, I mean, are you being a conspiracy theorist? Do you think
No,
that's
not
why
no.
Trump passed this
No,
new
I think
executive order?
No. Well, look, a lot of presidents have talked about push this through. It's not really like a President Trump thing. Obama obviously was pro.
Yeah, he was vocal.
Like there's a lot of, I mean, it's not about the political side of this. It's just sort of an interesting thing where if you want everybody to not pay attention to maybe some of their problems, give them a couple solutions to those problems, i.e. universal basic income, and maybe alter their mind just a tad so they're just a little calmer, chill out, that kind of thing. I mean, what you don't want to do is, shove steroids down everybody, right? Then they'll just be angry muscle people.
No, but this does feel a little bit like the, what was that movie that we saw J.D. Vance wrote the book, Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah.
It sort of feels a little bit like the Hillbilly Elegy story. And I know
Well,
it's
the
not
problem
the exact
is
same
fentanyl,
thing.
or was that fentanyl? Oxycontin.
It was Oxycontin, but it was
But
because
that could kill
No,
people.
I understand,
Like-
but the premise was it really hit the marketplace and exploded in these mining communities where people were doing backbreaking
It was
work,
the worst.
right? So that it became sort of the take the edge off, or you got hurt, this is what you're going to take. And then little did they know that there was the addictive component to it. And then I forget what company.
It was the Sackler family.
They kept changing the formula to make it more and more addictive. So I don't know.
Well,
is there
we've
any
talked-
sort of remnants and similarity to this?
Okay, well, first of all, one is a highly addictive opiate that like literally kills people, addicts them to the point where they give up everything else that's a human need: food, water, hygiene, whatever it is,
yes,
and they die.
In this
Like-
derivative, it's gone through several sort of different formulas and progressions. But just back up a little bit for me. The premise that we're going to take the edge off, we're going to make people feel okay about
I'm
their
not
jobs.
saying we're going to take the edge
not
off.
we. No,
I'm
we.
giving
We're
a
not.
little bit.
I'm not pedal pushing pot.
No, I know,
I'm not
but it's a
pedal
little
pushing fentanyl.
I was just, it's not tinfoil hat, but it's just sort of, hey, you know what? Times are tough. How do you help people get through it? It'll be almost
that's
like
the same
if
thing that they did though in the Appalachian Mountains. Times
Right.
are tough. They were
yeah,
working
but
their
Oxycontin
asses off.
is crazy.
I get it.
They
and I'm
should
not-
have just given them pot, if anything.
Well, but if
Like,
somebody has chronic pain, I mean, I know marijuana
No, I
does
know.
do things, but I don't think it can do the same thing as an Oxycontin.
well, and the so here's well, I don't know what's alleged and what's for sure. Obviously, the Sacklers have had to pay all kinds of fines and everything. But if you believe what the Sackler family and that pharmaceutical company actually did, they lied about the extent of the duration of one painkiller and how long it lasts.
Sure.
So people were craving another painkiller hours before they were supposed to.
Well, and then
so
there
they
was the
would
time
take
release.
it, and then they would be taking more and more because that they became addicted to something they were told they can't get addicted to. Now, I don't want to get in trouble for saying all that stuff is true. That's all the alleged stuff.
Well, that's what
all
we
the
saw in the
stuff that we
movie.
saw in the movie and the TV series. It seems to be a lot of the alleged stuff that they also pleaded guilty for on a variety of different sort of lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, bottom line is like if that stuff is true, how they're still not behind bars is sort of crazy. But anyway,
But going
back to the topic.
marijuana,
Yeah.
is it a means of taking the edge off? Is it a means
It is.
of, covering up sort of the shittiness that's going on and just making people a little happier, a little calmer? I don't know. I
Yes.
see it very similar to what they did in the mining communities of the Appalachian Mountains.
Well, okay.
I know-
Well, by
I
the
know
way,
we're not we're
it
talking two
wasn't just
different
the mining.
drugs.
It wasn't just the mining.
No,
It happened
but
all over the world.
It did, but that's where the boom came, or at least that's what the movie.
Well,
told us.
there was
And the
also,
book, and
by the
book.
way, in Los Angeles had pharmacies that were caught up in the whole thing, and there were a lot of people
Well, there were
addicted to it here.
doctors caught into. I mean,
Yeah, it was
everywhere.
terrible.
No,
So,
I get that.
but it did hit Appalachia hard.
Do you see my point?
100%.
That it feels similar. And again, we were pro gummies, pro marijuana. I'm not saying no to this by any means. I'm just now wondering sort of what is the intent? And you were the one that brought it to my attention. Is it to keep people just happy enough that they don't revolt?
I think you could, and we've talked about this before, if competence was at a level that could really pull off conspiracies, there would probably be a lot more true conspiracy theories than there probably are. I think a lot of things that look like a conspiracy happen to be a lot of people incompetent and doing whatever is important for their own self-interest, and that incompetence combined with self-interest and greed or protecting systems or whatever ends up creating these messes, and also on top of it makes a lot of people's lives worse. Like we've talked about this crazy, and we should talk about this Brown University MIT thing, because
but I feel like we're going to shortchange it because I don't know.
Well, it's ongoing right now.
This is a long conversation, and maybe we do another podcast tomorrow because it will be ongoing.
Well, I think the big thing that we both talked about on the last podcast was the fact that it just looked like a lot of people trying to cover their own ass.
Which is still looking like a lot of people
really
trying to cover their own ass. But now it has gone into 2 different states. Now there's people dead. You could say that if Brown didn't catch the killer originally, or excuse me, if they did catch the killer, maybe the MIT guy wouldn't be dead. Because that's right.
That's the case.
But for.
I mean, they definitely got, everybody got very lucky, I would say. And maybe
died.
No. I'm just saying in terms of the investigation, it seems like a lot of people needed some luck to come into the equation. And today it did. And the story, I got to say, if for the tinfoil hat wearers, if they were like, oh, the intelligence is behind this, it's all bullshit. Well, if they created this story to make it not sound like bullshit and to make it all semi-logical. It sort of is semi-logical. This guy was disturbed by whatever happened back at Brown when he was getting his nuclear PhD and whatever. And there was this other guy that also happened to be Portuguese, same age, and was in the same field, and he was at MIT, and maybe it was just a grudge.
Do you think there's some sort of connection, like they went to school together
I
somebody
think
stole the rights to something? Like, I feel this is a movie, Chris.
It definitely could be an interesting film. The sad part about it, and the part that still is really bothersome, is the amount of people completely shaken and lives changed. I mean, you have 2 people at Brown, 2 young people who were killed. Thank God the other people shot are surviving. But their lives are completely changed forever. The PTSD, and we know PTSD well.
But how about, there's kids who were in the Parkland shooting that were in the Brown shooting. I think it was Parkland, right?
Parkland High School
and Saugus, right?
Saugus High School out here in California.
No child should go through that once, let alone twice. That's just not fair.
Well, life ain't fair. No, it's just terrible.
Yeah, life
luck,
ain't fair.
and the luck was made more terrible because of incompetence. Apparently,
would you send your kid back if your kid went to Brown? What do you think what's going through their head right now? I'm not saying it's going to happen again. Like the chances of that's not where I'm going. I'm kind of going with the incompetency. And you talked about incompetency a few minutes ago. Are they so incompetent?
Well, it's a different story now. If this is the guy who actually was the killer, and it seems like maybe he is, and hopefully they can prove that. If they found the killer, so I would argue that there's a good chance that some people are going to highly justify having their kids go back to Brown in the spring semester, especially if maybe a couple heads roll in this situation, and there's a lot of things that are rectified really fast about how there were very few cameras on this guy. He was able to get in and do all that kind of stuff. That said, if they didn't catch the guy and spring semester rolled around,
you wouldn't be surprised if a lot of parents pulled.
I would not be surprised, because I know I would be really, really questioning whether it would be good for our kids if they went to Brown to go back if the killer was still on the loose.
But again, not because you think that the killer is going to do the same thing, right? That's not your issue.
I think my issue is about a lack of, in that scenario, which maybe they looks like they're going to avoid that worst case scenario. But I still think there's a lot of things that they're going to have to deal with. But in that worst case scenario, I would have been anti sending my kids back to a school with terrible leadership, complete incompetency,
right, going back to incompetence,
and really badly drawn priorities.
So then maybe the title of this episode is Tinfoil Hat, Conspiracies, and Incompetence. I kind of feel like we've talked about that a lot. In between, by the way, anybody who's listening, I apologize for all the noises. You had Dylan who was upstairs eating, and he was, opening some wrappers. You had him getting some water. You could hear that. You had the dog chasing him around. Then the dog had to go to the bathroom. Then the dog's little pitter patter because it followed Dylan downstairs. It was really noisy.
Why
sorry.
are you referring to Flynn as the dog? That's Flynn. Our listeners are aware of Flynn. He had his birthday extravaganza a couple episodes ago.
But we still haven't had the party.
No, we haven't had the party. But I will say that
I think let's talk about this.
But your question about a title for this podcast, I think if anything, and I'm learning it too, because you can get in your own bubble, and you got a little free time in your hands, and there's a really interesting story that's captivated you, like this Brown thing, because of the personal connections and all that. You go on Twitter or whatever your social media is, and you'll see a lot of stuff that you really have to think about. Is this something that I'm going to validate by believing it myself? Or is it a really interesting theory? Or is it tinfoil hat? Or is it something that makes sense? Or is it humor?
Like the video you sent me today. It was very funny. It was definitely inappropriate. But for a moment there, we're like, this can't be real. Is this real? And then we found out it wasn't real.
Well,
but
it's going to get... Yeah, AI is going to make it even worse. So you have to always question. And then on top of it, you also have to question mainstream media too, because let's face it, there's a bias all the time, whether it's on Fox or whether it's on MSNBC or whatever they're calling it now, MS Now or whatever, or CNN, you name it. There's angles, there's agendas, there's priorities, there's protecting a narrative, pushing a narrative, whatever it is. So you just got to be careful of it, but it's good to digest a bunch of different angles and then try to decipher it for yourself. But, sort of keep it within your inner circle before you can really sort of put it out there as something that you think is the reality. Because as we saw from this one, I don't think anyone saw this story being the case.
No, and this afternoon when the Brown MIT connection actually came to fruition, I think you and I both said, no, really? Is this possible? And cut to now, several hours later, we are connecting the dots, and we are, assuming that the news is reporting the right information and it's not a conspiracy that they're trying to spin. This does seem to be the same suspect.
And back to the title, I would say what's
Tinfoil
interesting.
Hat conspiracy.
No, it's almost any story that you hear, especially nowadays with enough tinfoil hat things actually becoming confirmed, and enough tinfoil hat things still be remaining tinfoil hat. I think the question, whenever you listen to news and think some story is just too wacky to believe, as on the surface, you got to think to yourself, is this a tinfoil hat conspiracy, or is this just a lot of people that are really incompetent that are trying to protect their own self-interests?
Again, incompetence. I feel like I nailed the title.
I think you did.
I think we take it out. We now follow what's going on with Brown, and I think we talk about it maybe tomorrow.
And a shout out to this, hopefully the suspected killer being caught, because that was scary, and probably a lot of you that listen to this show know somebody that was touched by that Brown situation, and it's just really good to know that hopefully we can put that one to bed. There's a lot of lessons, hopefully, that will be learned, and we will never have to have a problem like this again. So, with that, I'm playing my little Dock of the Bay kind of fade out music.
Thanks for listening. Good night.
Yeah, please follow, review, download, enjoy, and spread the word, because we want to go beyond 25 countries. Till next time, we love you. We're Plate and Ponder Empty Nesting with Jen and Chris Fenton.